I don't want everybody to know everything.
He was like, no. And you opened up the tinfoil, and lo and behold,
I know they can edit this out, man. So go ahead and speak on.
So at the end of the day, what I'm coming to find out is, man, being connected to you, I was in the wrong environment. I was in the wrong environment. Welcome, man, to another episode of the Rick and Reese podcast, man. You already know it's your boy, Reese. I'm sitting next to the greatest co-host on the planet, Rick Jones.
Oh, Reese, man, you're far too kind, man. Listen, we recognize y'all can be tapped into any podcast in the world, but y'all tapped into us, Rick and Reese, and y'all already know.
We appreciate that.
Reese, man, let them know what platforms they can get us on, man.
Listen, man, you can catch this podcast on all major streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify. Y'all know all the streaming platforms, man. Y'all can catch it on any of the streaming platforms. And make sure y'all go over to Patreon, man, www.patreon.com. And make sure y'all subscribe, man, so y'all can catch all this exclusive content that we got coming on the Rick and Reese podcast, man. You don't want to miss out on that. Rick!
What's going on, man?
What's up with you, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man.
Good.
We're back at
man.
it, man.
We are. We back at it, man. We back at it, man. I got something, man, that's near and dear to me I want to talk about, man. But I want to loosen up. Let me loosen up. Can I loosen up for a minute?
I'm scared.
Nah. I'm just saying I want to loosen up because the conversation is a little tight. It can get tight.
Okay.
So I'm just loosening up a little bit, man.
Loosen up, man.
I think we got
your shirt is tight enough.
I feel like I've been slimming. Hey, it would probably affect me a little more, man. But I've been in the gym.
Hey, you look good, man. You look good.
I appreciate you. Clean it up.
No, you look good, man.
Thanks, man. Anything else you want to say?
I said you look good, bro.
All right, I'll take it. Man, I think, man, something that's near and dear to me, man, that I just really want to touch on and kind of get your thoughts on, man, is, we're talking about the young people. Now, obviously, don't take it wrong. I mean, I'm the youth pastor.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But that ain't just the only reason why I really want to go down this vein. Man, really, man, I look at we grew up in the inner city.
Right.
And then, when we look at our city now, and I think it's not even just our city. I think when we look at cities all over the United States of America, I think one of the biggest challenges right now is the murder rate among young people.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Gun violence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? We're hearing that all over the place.
Yeah.
And so we've had this conversation before off air. So I'm bringing it on air. You didn't ask me.
Okay.
But I'm bringing it on air.
Okay, talk to me.
What, in your opinion, affects a kid more? Because we see, man, the gun violence, and we see kids going to prison for a large amount of years. Mm-hmm. What affects a kid more, man? Is it his environment or is it his parenting?
It goes down to influence, right?
Don't give me the see, you over there trying to think of a decorated.
Well, I mean, we having a conversation, man.
But just don't
let me
the
think through it. You don't want me to think through it?
Nah, I do. I feel like I saw you searching for that cute answer.
No, that was a great question. So I want to give you a good answer.
Okay,
right?
I appreciate that.
And tell me your stance. I would say environment matters, right?
Okay, well, so we're at the odds as you. So normally, so we just work because we're oil and water. I think that's just what it is.
So you go with parenting?
I think it's parenting.
I think I can argue both sides, but I want to stay on the side of the environment. Let's talk about this, man.
Okay.
Listen, I think it matters, man, what type of environment you're in. You're talking about violence, murder, and all these different things. I don't believe that a parent would raise their kid to go out and do these things. And I don't think they learn that from the home. Maybe some homes, but when you go into the environment, man, and you see these things and you watching television and you around this type of stuff and you feeding and feasting on it, I believe you're going to manifest that stuff. You know what I mean? So I think environment, man, because a kid is in his home. If we do the math, let's do the math on the kid being in the home. They're asleep 8 hours being in the home, right? Then they got to go to school. They're outside in their environment. So I think environment plays a big deal and influence on our youth today. That's why we see some of the things like violence. You know what I mean? Social media, all of that, man, is affecting your environment.
Okay, so let me carve into your.
Let's talk.
Let me carve into that. You're talking about the environment.
Intro.
Okay.
Let's go.
So let me carve into that for a second.
Okay, all right.
The environment. Now I say parenting.
Okay.
Right. And I would argue that a parent controls or can have somewhat control over what environments you get exposed to, right? So now you can't help where you live. Everybody doesn't have the financial resources to live affluent, right? So some people do live in the inner, good people.
Right.
They might live in the hood. It might be humble beginnings. But as a parent, I can control how much time, like you said, they're outside. But as a parent, if I know the environment's not conducive, then I as a parent can control the amount of time you out there and whose house you going to or what friends you're around. And then hopefully I'm sending you to a school because you said they spend 8 hours at school, however many it is, about 7 hour day. But hopefully the teachers are doing what they need to, and the principals and the different people that are in the school setting, that I'm not sending you to the Wild Wild West. I'm sending you to a place of education.
Right.
And then you sleep in 8 hours. So then I would argue that, how much of it is a parent making sure that they're there to control or to as much as they can control how much you're exposed to these type of things. Right?
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I mean, I agree. Parenting is a major part. All I'm saying is because I work with these youth and I know the negative influence came from their environment. That's all I'm saying. And your question was, what influenced kids the most these days? And I'm just saying their environment. See, your environment can be your household now.
True.
Right?
Okay, that's true.
Environment plays a big part because see, if you got to watch out for your environment because your environment sets your mindset. And your mindset really determines if you're going to fail or succeed, I believe. So you got to watch who you hang around. And I always say this, man, sometimes we spend 10 minutes with people we should be spending 10 hours with. And sometimes we spend 10 hours with people we should be spending 10 minutes with. You see what I'm saying? So it affects that person. It affects the outcome. So you got to be very careful, man, because influence is subtle and it's powerful. Sometimes, man, you've been influenced, you don't even know it. And I know we say peer pressure and all that, and we think that's for the youth, but that's for adults too. See, sometimes, man, you hang around somebody you don't even really know. Some people say we sound alike. You know what I mean? Not only because I'm your father, but not only because I'm your father, but because we spend so much time together. So, man, I'm telling you, man, environment matters big time to me, right? But parenting as well. We have a responsibility as parents. We're parents. We have a responsibility as well. So, it's just I just go on the side of environment, man, is very influential on the child's upbringing.
So I think that you had a couple of good arguments there.
Okay,
I think you had a couple of good arguments. I ain't saying that I'm totally across the line, but I got a little closer to it.
Okay.
So how important so you talking about environment, right? So what part does the church play then in that environment? Like, so this environment I got to leave out of my parents' house, but outside of my parents' house, it ain't just all drugs, guns, violence. I mean, the environment can consist of a whole lot of things. Right. So like, what part does the church play or faith? Like what part does that play in that environment or affecting that environment maybe for the good so that it ain't just all bad when I come out the house?
Let's stick a pin in that question, but I want to go back to the environment piece because I was just looking at you. No, seriously. I was looking at you and I was reflecting on your upbringing.
Okay.
Your mother was a national evangelist.
Yeah.
Your father was a hardworking man.
Salute, man, to moms. I love you, Mom.
Your dad was a hardworking man. You know what I mean? They raised you the best way they could. You have great parents, which happens to be my aunt and my uncle, right?
Absolutely.
And I look at your life and I watched your journey.
Okay.
I watched your maturation process.
Right.
I seen you go through different stages.
As a son should watch his dad. He was watching me. That's good.
I seen you under the needle getting tattoos. No, seriously. And you already told your testimony publicly, right? You've done some things that I'm not going to say on this broadcast, right? But
salute. I think after 7 years, you're usually good with the law. So
yeah.
I should be all right by now.
So, but what I'm saying is, you didn't learn that from your parents.
True.
You see what I'm saying? So your parents didn't teach you these things. So how in the world did you come to do all these different things? A lot of things that you indulged in that I know Aunt Karen didn't teach you.
I know, but you know
so
what?
So where did you learn that stuff from?
It's funny. Now, can I answer?
Where did you learn that stuff?
Now, Zoom.
Could it be your environment?
Now I want to talk to the people. Zoom in a little bit. All right.
Go ahead, man.
He said, where did I learn it from? So I wanted to make sure that I was very candid and clear with y'all. Man, I think I was about 14. And I was living in the Brookville, man, and I'm super close to one of my cousins, man. He's like my brother. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It just happens to be you. And you came over, man. You came over one day, man, and I remember it so vividly. We was in the back, right behind my house in the parking lot. We was talking, and you pulled some tinfoil out of your pocket. And I was looking, he was like, look at this. And I'm like, man, it's tinfoil. Like, ain't nothing good about that.
I don't want everybody to know everything.
He was like, no. And you opened up the tinfoil, and lo and behold,
I know they can edit this out, man. So go ahead and speak on.
So at the end of the day, what I'm coming to find out is, man, being connected to you, I was in the wrong environment. I was in the wrong environment. My own flesh and blood.
That's good.
But you know
it
what?
Went full circle.
But the good thing is that ended up being a testimony.
But listen, I got saved though. That's why I'm able to tell you. And don't get off the conversation, man. We're talking about environment.
No, I just had to do that.
No, that's real. You just wanted to tell on me and say all that.
Yeah, I just had to.
I understand that. That was a good comeback. But let's stay on task. Even you're telling on me, it goes back to environment, right?
It does,
because I said not only environment is the place or the location where you're at, environment is the people that you hang around. And see, I became your environment, which affected your mindset, right?
Right.
And so you found yourself doing those different things that could have landed you in jail.
And
so you got to watch who you spending 10 hours.
Yeah. I should have been spending 10 minutes.
But listen to the Lord. Let's talk about what the Lord did.
Hold on. Before we talk about what the Lord did, see, it goes back to what I said about parenting. See, they could have controlled my environment better. But because we was related, they didn't put stipulations. They didn't say you only can be with Rick. You're my my blood cousin. So it was a free for all. You could be with Rick for hours upon hours. But really though, had my parents been more attentive to like, okay, I'm gonna look deeper than just as his cousin. Let me look deeper. Maybe his environment is not one that is conducive for our son. So I'm gonna monitor that relationship even though they family.
So what I see is, we were sneaky, right?
We were.
She didn't really know what I was endorsing. She
True.
just loved me.
True.
So I thank God that she was trying to bring me into your environment.
True.
But when she brought me into the environment, it just so happened I brought some stuff with me to that environment.
Yeah, you brought baggage.
And then it comes into influence and, I guess I influenced you the wrong way. But look what God did now.
Now you didn't, and to your credit, the same one that introduced me to, this lifestyle that could have landed me in prison for a long time.
Oh, glory to God, man.
God saved you and allowed you to be the one to witness to me. So the same one that could have sent me down that path doing absolutely wrong, man, the testimony is that God used you to be the one to witness to me to bring me into salvation. So
once again, it's been your environment.
Yeah, so I think it's a little mixture of both, probably 60-40 environment to parenting.
I really want to ask the people,
I can see.
People here. I mean, parenting is definitely
I think it's
important.
both of them. I can see it a little bit.
Okay.
So I think it's both of them. But I think the environment might factor in a little more.
So I won this argument? Or
I'm going to say you did, slightly. It's just slight. I'm going to say you did slightly.
God, my guy. Environment, man. I know people are going to chime in and they're going to look at this and they're going to have their own opinions too. So that's good because I believe parenting is definitely important, but we cannot negate environment, bro.
No, I believe that 100%.
And, I watch my daughter and my kids and now I try to, who are they hanging around? And, let me meet their parents before you go because I want to look at their environment. You know what I mean? Because that's important, man.
And it was the time that we lived in too. So I can't forget that though. And the time we was living in, the world wasn't yet exposed to everything that we're exposed to in 2023. There was no social media. There was no, neighborhoods really ran like families and the next door neighbor disciplined you. The lady down the street could, Yeah. Now you can't say 2 words to a kid that ain't yours or somebody that ain't your family.
Right.
Or you'll find yourself in all kind of, Like we just ain't growing up in the same times. So I think parenting now is you're a little more conscious. Like who's your friend?
Yeah.
Whose house you going over? Who's going to be over there? But back then, he'd be like, Mom, I'm going down the street to Johnny's. Yeah. All right, get in for the street light. Because how life was. So
man, it's important, man. I mean, even in this conversation, man, you learn, man, but just working with those youth, man, this at-risk youth, and to see, their environment, who they hang around. I'm telling you, you ever heard the term, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Mm-hmm. And you become like the 5 people you hang around. See, man, that stuff is so real. Even the Bible says you hang around fools, you become a fool. You know what I mean? So when I look at these youth, and I work downtown at the municipal courts, and I've seen them all. I've been down there for years. And man, they'll come in and I'll ask them, where is your friends? They're like, man, they out there. I'm like, okay, they'll be in here soon. And they're like, man, what? And sure enough, 2-3 weeks later, they come in for the same charges. Man, how did you know? Just because y'all all hang around each other. So, you know what I mean? You got to get with people like this, entrepreneurs, that's, if you want to become, you got to get up under somebody. I always say a mentor is a shortcut to success. Get with somebody that's already been where you at. Man, environment is everything. It's everything.
Okay. So now talking about this youth, we talked about the environment that factors in with these young people. We talked about parenting that factors in with these young people.
Okay.
Those are 2 aspects. Mm-hmm. But again, what aspect does the faith play? Like what to affect in the environment? Like we see these young people, we know the murder rate goes up. Every year there's more bodies. Mm-hmm. Every year we're arguing that they're younger and younger, and we're having funerals. There's a 14-year-old kills a 15-year-old, and this. So what part can the church play though to affect that environment so that we might be able to see less gun violence or less, more young people going to college instead of going to prison, or more young people going to college instead of going to the cemetery?
I think, man, seriously, that, we're in a fallen world. You know what I mean? But we can, as a church, man, try to be the salt of the earth. That's what God called us to be. We got to shine our light. Let our light shine. We got to stay lit, as I always say. I think if we continue to just penetrate the world, you know what I mean? The kingdom suffer violence, but the violent take it by force. We got to be out there. We can't just stay in between these walls and, have church and, light, just stand around light. But we got to be the light and go in the darkness. And if we go out there, then they can see a man and a woman of God. Mm-hmm. And if they see that, then that can influence them and compel them to come. You know what I mean? So if we stay in these walls, man, I don't think we can do change. Now, this is where we get our inspiration, our teaching, but we got to get empowered to go out. And if we go out, man, I think that'll help. That'll help a lot. You know what I mean? With the crime rate, because like you said, the old saying is it takes a village to raise a kid.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And sometimes, to be honest, parents, man, they need help because you got single parents out here. You got parents that is not financially, capable. So if we can get the church to come out, of these 4 walls and do some things in the community, I think that's powerful. Just like, we're on the film right now and we're talking about these things. I think this is a platform that God can use to be in the community. You know what I mean? You never know who's going to watch this on social media, because now that's where they're spending their time. So why not us invade social media? So I think, man, the church, man, I think we just got to be out there in the community. And I think that right there alone.
So do you think the youth would be receptive to the gospel? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like you just said, like, man, we at the church, we got to stay lit. And then you use the term lit, right? Like, and that we know that's a term that they embrace. We know that these are terms that they use.
I feel like I'm on an interview. I feel like, I'm the interview. Go ahead, though.
I'm asking you because I know that I can pull some good information out of you.
Go ahead. That's good, though. Go ahead.
But
because I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yeah. So, but when we talk about, like, the young people, man, we know that social media is huge. And we know what they love. They love this rap music, and they love, man, designer and swag and charisma. And that's a plug. Shout out to Charisma Culture, a little shameless plug.
You're doing good.
Yeah, a little shameless plug. But they love that. So again, like, do you think that they'll be receptive to like the gospel, or do you think they'll be receptive to, like coming to church and being a part of the faith the way it currently is? Or do we have to get creative on how it's presented? Like a different method, same message. It's always going to be Christ crucified, right? But the method, do you think the method got to be different in the day and time we live in now?
I think you answered the question like same message, but different method. And yes, it takes creativity. You know what I mean? To capture, this is a new generation. You know what I mean? So some things, it got to be relatable. You know what I mean? Like we gotta be creative in how we do these things. So podcasts, social media now. I think we can't be stuck in the old traditional ways. I think we got to move with the times as well. If the world get radical, we got to get radical. I think they'll listen to the gospel, but sometimes it is how it's presented. You like steak, right? You like steak, you love steak. If I serve it to you, man, a waiter, black and all black suit, and you know what I mean? And they come in with fine linen and all that, and they give it to you, you're gonna love it. Mm-hmm. But if I bring that same steak on a trash can, you know what I mean? And it's on the trash can, I sit in the front of you, man, I don't want that, because it's how we serve it. So we got to be careful how we serve, this gospel. And we got to be cognitive. We got to have a discernment. We got to know who our audience is. So and God calls us to that. That's why he called all of us, not just to be the same, but diversify. We got to be different. He called you not to be like Rick Jones. He called Rick Jones not to be like you. We got to just, be ourselves. And we always say this though. I think somebody asked me about me being saved, and I try to tell them like, man, I didn't change. My sinful nature changed. I'm still Rick Jones person. But, so I think it's how you definitely got to be creative, and we definitely want to be wise as serpents, but harmless as doves. Those who win souls are very wise. We can't go with the old traditional way to win these youth. You know what I mean? But the gospel in itself, and Christ been crucified and all of that, that's powerful in itself, though. So we got a great message. I think we just got to be confident in what we delivering and know, you know what I mean? So it's just like selling. Like if you work for a company, you're not really, your heart ain't really sold on it, and you're not really all in with it, you're probably not going to do good at selling. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But see, we got a savior. And we got something that we know that's changed our lives, that's powerful. So when we go out and we witness, or we talk to people, or we preach, we got to be persuasive, and they know, like, man, he believed what he's talking about, because that's what wins them. You know what I mean? So I hope that answered your question a little bit.
No, it did. And I think too, like, we got to understand that, like, we can't be fearful of witnessing to these young people, right? We can't be, if I say something to him, he's going to pull a gun out and shoot me. We got to understand though that this is somebody's son, this is somebody's daughter, and they might be, he was in jail or this one was that, but man, they really are souls. Yeah, you know what I mean? Absolutely. And like I just had a young man who's, he's fighting a case now, wrapped up in some stuff that might send him to prison for a while. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, I always just stick around. You know what I mean? Make sure I'm reaching out to him. Even though he wasn't receiving the gospel. He was still living his life contrary, but he still was receptive to, you know what I mean, just a dialogue and us talking. And man, when everything hit the fan, man, guess who reached out to me though in the middle of the night? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, man, I just want to give you a heads up. This is about to happen. You know what I mean? Can you pray, you know what I mean, for this situation? Can you do this and do that? Man, but this is the same person that I would argue most people wouldn't want to go witness to. Right. But the truth is, man, he's just a person like everybody else, man, a young man. He got a heart. He got fears. He got all of that. And he's receptive. Right. You see what I'm saying? To it. He wasn't trying to call the people he was running around with in the streets. Right. He was calling me when it hit the fan. He's not looking for this one or that one. Nah, I'm calling somebody who, man, I know he's been in my corner and he's been there and he's positive. And until he jammed up so much, he need Jesus. Right. Man, you know what, man? It's like, I'm just hearing you talking, we talk about, we can't be scared to witness to them, think somebody's going to pull out a gun and all this. And sometimes, man, you speak from a point of what you came from. All these kids is not pulling out guns. We got some people that's scared. You know what I mean? We got different clientele. It's just so happened that you're called. and we were talking about, we were talking about the at-risk youth. Yeah. We were talking about the at-risk youth. I'm saying God got, it's different. It's different. And you got to be able to fish in every pond. You got to be able to fish in the ocean. You got to be able to fish in the pond, the lake. You know what I mean? You got to be able to be. Not everybody's going to be well-rounded, but, it's important, man, that you're able to, fish. I think it was the Apostle Paul who said, I became the winter Greek or something like that. I forgot the scripture, but he became whatever he needed to become just to win them. You know what I mean? So, and don't take that out of context. Don't become everything. No. I'm saying, but be out here becoming a drug dealer. I better start selling drugs so I can win a drug dealer to Christ. Nah. But I think all of our life experiences, working in corporate, being a part of a gang or selling drugs or
being an entrepreneur, working in the, justice system, like all of that, man, all those experiences, man, God can really build you, you know what I mean? To be a crazy weapon for the kingdom of God, you know what I mean? To break down the kingdom of darkness. So we got to use sometimes our experiences. And that's what God is using. He use your experience, man, to do those things.
Yeah, but it's really, man, for real. Like I look across the board, not even just talking about from a faith standpoint, man, the young people just across the board throughout. I got friends in Baltimore. I got friends in California, but they all echo the same thing. Like everything that we look at and talk about here concerning the young people, and they talk about it. They tell me like the murder rate. And so it's really, man, at this point, like I look at it, I feel like the inner city has influenced suburban America. And so now it's all the same, really. Like, you know what I mean?
Violence is up. Man.
Yeah, the music and all of that, it's really all the same now. It ain't just like you got to be in the inner city in the worst neighborhood ever to see a young person shoot a young person. They shooting in the suburban America.
Yeah, absolutely.
They selling drugs in suburban, like all the stuff that maybe would have just been inner city. Yeah. Now it's just young people in general across the board, largely because the music is now across the board. Yeah. It ain't, well, this culture listens to this type of music. The black culture listens to everybody listens to it.
You know what, man? Here in this city, they just got a new police chief and all of that, man. And the mayor, they're meeting with, leaders and pastors and faith-based, all that, man. They meeting, and you know what the top of their discussion is? Violence. How to reduce violence. So, man, that's something heavy, man. It's something heavy. But I believe the church, man, we got to do our part, and if we work together, it's going to take a collaborative effort, to, I think, reduce the violence, man.
And to affect the environment, like you said. You know what I mean? If the environment factors in largely, then maybe if the church really works our efforts.
I won. No, I'll play.
Nah, but if the church works effortlessly to affect the environment, then that can ultimately affect the youth.